I was going to make a video about my new frying pan, but then of course Minx36 showed up with his top of the range Tefal Red Spot, and now I feel a bit inadequate. Hello and welcome back to another video. This is Formula 1 on the original PlayStation, a game that holds many nostalgic memories for me. I remember being truly blown away by this back in 1995. I owned a Sega Saturn at the time and a friend of mine showed me this game and I just couldn't believe it. At the time there was a really fantastic Formula 1 PC game, and back then PCs were stupidly expensive, so it was out of the realms of possibility for most people. But when this came out for the PlayStation, it just seemed fantastic to finally have an affordable Formula 1 game. And the link-up mode on this, lost many an hour playing it. So I just stuck it in the championship mode, and basically there's no assists on, like steering assists or brake assists. You do find if you go in the arcade mode you need to turn them off. It becomes really annoying. So for the sake of this video I've turned the damage and the tyre wear off, but it does allow for such settings to make it a bit more realistic. You may well hear the tones, the all familiar tones of Murray Walker in the background there. That was another thing that really made this game stand out, was the quality of the commentary. It seemed a little bit primitive now, but back then it was really impressive. And of course F1, I was a huge fan of F1 at the time of this game's release. There seemed to be a plethora of really interesting drivers. A lot of competition with the Williams and the Ferraris. And of course the Marlboro team. So exciting times. And I mean, I haven't got a TV license, so I can't really keep up with F1 anymore anyway, other than looking on the internet. But to me it doesn't seem as exciting anymore because they've placed so many restrictions on the cars and things. But obviously it's still a massive sport, and I'm a fan of motorsport in general. So I actually went to a Renault, I think it was like a Renault race day thing at, I think it was Donington Park, and they had an F1 car, a Renault one, unsurprisingly, come on the track, and just fantastic. The actual roar, it was a V12, the actual roar from the engine as it went round, you know, it was incredible. Proper beast. And when it went down the straight, it was literally like a blink and it was at one end to the other. So Damon Hill's in first, and I've got a little bit of trouble here. Schumacher in second. Coulthard, Mika Hakkinen, you know, they're all very familiar names to me. Gerhard Berger. Yeah, I mean, really, especially with this cockpit view, which I think this is probably the first game where I felt like the in-car view really made sense. It really added to the experience, and it was actually playable. I think prior to this, I mean, I used to play virtual racing like this, but going back to it now, it's not so playable in this viewpoint. There was other viewpoints, and that's it. But I've never been a fan of external car viewpoints. So, and now I don't know how to get them back. I'm going back inside. I know on videos it does look better if you're in the external view, but it's just not for me. So coming up to the Ferraris now, it looks like. Hopefully the footage isn't too dark. It does seem to be pretty dark on this track. Now the second game, the sequel to this one, F1 97, had analog stick support, and it did make a bit of a difference really. A bit more finesse with the controls, analog did bring. But I still think this is perfectly playable with the D-pad, and if anything the later games they've become a little bit more demanded and not quite as fun to play. I'm sure if you'd have put some time into them there would have been, but I think after this I'll move more onto things like the TOCA series and Gran Turismo. Colin McRae. There's a lot of good racing games on the PlayStation 1, a lot that I've spent many a happy hour playing in the past. I think the 32-bit generation was when we really started to get what was considered at the time realistic graphics. Prior to that, it was, you know, I don't really want to say cartoony, but you know, everything was sprite based prior to the 32-bit generation. Or almost everything was, so once you got these polygons flying about, really did bring that level of detail that made things seem more believable. So, alright, who am I behind now? It's hard to see. Also, nice little touch when it brings up all the... I'm in second position, I'm right behind Hill. When it brings up the race placings and everything. Because all of this, at the time, was exactly the same as what was on the television. And I mean, often when you say with these games, certainly PlayStation, I remember at a time when I thought this was the height of realism. You know, I didn't think things could get much better. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Just do the one quick race. Managed to come in second, but a fantastic title. It's available for next to nothing, but you're probably not going to get too much enjoyment out of it unless you've got nostalgia for these years of F1 racing or just this game in general. So I'll leave it there. I thank you for watching. Hopefully upload some more videos soon.